team. Must be, nice honour as always.
We haven't voted as yet, and there's no news on that front, so I'm not sure why we're jumping to conclusions.
We're sitting there, but that's all right. What is the process then?
The leadership vote will be in a few weeks' time, and until that point, there's no news, unfortunately, for you guys. I know you're desperate to find out, but there's a bit more pre-season to get through and a few other things to sort through, and the vote will occur shortly.
Would you like to, Matthew, if you ask?
Well, that's really dependent on how the leadership vote goes. It's been an absolute privilege to represent this footy club as captain for so long, and I take the responsibility on with a great level of desire and will to keep pushing in that role. So if that's the case, we'll review it once the vote plays itself out, but there's a bit of water to go under the bridge yet.
Do you think that the club has young leaders emerging to succeed you if and when you go?
Yeah, no doubt. The club's in a really strong position leadership-wise, both with the incumbents from last year in our leadership group, but some of our younger players who are emerging have done a huge amount of work on their game, but in their leadership, and we're in a really strong position, the football club, in that space.
Are there any guys that you specifically have identified over the summer that really stood up?
No one specifically. I think that sort of young and emerging group, a number of those guys aged between sort of 23 and 25 who have become very solid and serviceable AFL players, and they have really stepped up in general. But it's hard to single out one or two. There's quite a number that are pushing along, which is fantastic for our team.
Looks as though you've lost a bit of weight. Have you lost anything over the pre-season at all?
I haven't. No, I'm not entirely sure where some of those reports have come from. And whilst it's nice to be recognised as looking trim and fit for the 2015 season, I think there's been some true stretch potential there. I feel really fit. I've done every bit of pre-season to this date, but I'm pretty much exactly the same weight as I have been the last few years. So I feel fit, but the weight one's a bit of a stretch, I think.
What about your year then? Is there anything mapped out in terms of travel workload for yourself and not playing away matches, anything like that?
No, the expectation is that I play as often and as regularly as I can. I've hit the ground running in the off-season and in the pre-season just gone, and I feel capable of doing as much as I can. Clearly that'll be monitored as the season goes, but right now I'm doing every minute of pre-season with the aim to play as many games as I can.
What's the latest on Anthony Morabito? There's a report out there he's had a bit of a setback with his knee.
My understanding is that he's sort of dealing with the medical staff. He's been in the rehab group for most of the pre-season, and his progress has been steady. I'm not entirely sure what the next step is, but I know he's closely working with our medical group, and I'm sure you guys will be updated soon.
Does he need an operation at all?
Not that I'm aware of, but again, you guys will you'll be made aware if that was the case.
It's not, he hasn't joined the main group yet. The club's obviously taking a cautious approach with him. Is that just the way it needs to be until, there's no restriction on he needs to be back here by this time?
No, that's right. I mean, Anthony's had, numerous issues, obviously, and he's just being managed like all our other players who fall into that rehab group. So, we'd love to see him out there, and we can't wait for him to be back out on the track like he did last year, and build his way back into the team. So hopefully that can be the case for him again soon.
Are you seeing him get frustrated? He's obviously had a lot of these sorts of issues and been held back a lot over time.
I've seen him frustrated for a number of years. I mean, anyone that's had the history that he's had with his knees and other areas of his body, but particularly his knees, obviously, understandably so, he's had frustrations. It's just been a stop-start career, unfortunately, for him, and that's where the strong group behind him get along and support him, and that's certainly been the case again for him throughout this pre-season whilst he's been in the rehab group.
Do you get the indication he's frustrated being in there at the moment?
Well, I think I've answered that. He's frustrated for a lot of his career, but what I do know about Anthony, he's a really resilient character, and he'll work through the rehab like he has been diligently and getting back out there soon.
Colin Sylvia as well, rehab, we haven't seen him. What's the latest with him?
Yeah, he's in rehab, and we hope to see him out in the main group soon. He's been progressing well. I spoke to him just before that he stepped up his running the last week or two, and hopefully he can get back out with us in that main group shortly.
It's only a small number of guys in that group. How would you assess the overall health of the list at this stage of the year compared to previous years?
Yeah, look, I think we are pretty healthy. There's been a couple that have sort of been in and out of that group a little bit, but on the whole, the group's being able to do a huge amount of football minutes, and that's been a real focus this pre-season, up the ante on the amount of football training we're doing as compared to just conditioning running. So, you know, we feel as though we're training a lot more specific to the way we want to play, and that's by virtue of how healthy the list is.
You've mentioned yourself, I think, on the club website that you felt the intensity and the quality of the pre-season work has been as high as it ever is. How do you think that's going to hold going into the season? How much is that going to help?
Well, I'd love to think that efficient and intense pre-season means that we're going to shoot the lights out, but unfortunately I don't have a crystal ball. What I do know is that hard work and that efficiency and that intensity gives us half a chance of playing somewhere near our best. So that's all we can ask of the group. Have a really strong attitude, work hard on the track, and then hopefully that follows through to the pre-season, to the games in the season itself.
Matthew, what's your position on playing on beyond this year? Do you have an open mind about it, or do you have a plan in place as to how you might bow out of the game?
Yeah, look, I know that football mortality is probably not too far away around the corner, and every player's going to face it, or every athlete's going to face it at some point. And I have an open mind about when it might be and how it might play out. But what I do know is that the last few years I've thought that potentially could be the case. And there's, you take nothing for granted. Every time I come to training and every time I pull on the jumper, there's a feeling of privilege and pride in being able to do it every day. So this has been my dream and passion for so long. And whilst I still can play, I'll absolutely play. But understanding that, at some stage it's around the corner.
Just last one, Michael Johnson as well, coming along nicely.
Yeah, he is. I had similar surgery to him a couple of years ago, so I know every issue and every small step that he has to take along his road to getting back and playing football. He's been progressing well. I believe he's stepping up his program again the next couple of weeks as the main group sort of goes right into football. So we're looking forward to having him out there, but he's going well.